What's happening, everybody? Welcome into a brand new episode of Phightin Words. I'm Bob Wankel. We're going coast to coast on a Monday morning. Bob Wankel here in southern New Jersey, in Mantua, New Jersey. Anthony Sanfilippo, are you in Los Angeles? Are you just outside of Los Angeles? Where are you this morning?
I am in my Airbnb in Pasadena, California.
Oh, man. Dude, Pasadena's a bucket list destination for me, but it's a Rose Bowl, a January 1 destination for me.
Yeah, I'm not far from the Rose Bowl, pretty close by. It's kind of neat to see the mountains in the background and everything else. It's a really nice town. I highly recommend, if you go to LA, avoiding Los Angeles proper and coming out to Pasadena. You're only 15 minutes from Dodger Stadium, 15 minutes from downtown. It's much nicer out here than it is in the heart of the city.
And certainly when you booked this trip, you understood that the Phillies were going to be playing probably what is their most important series of the season, with an opportunity to clinch the division, right? The stars really aligned for you here. Or were you just that smart with the crystal ball? How did this all come about?
I didn't necessarily look at it as they're going to clinch the division in Los Angeles. I kind of thought that this series was going to be battling for a bye. And there was a real shot that this was when they clinched a playoff spot, right? So it was like, okay, there's a lot of good possibility here. I honestly thought if they were going to clinch the division, it would be the next series in Arizona. I did not see them erasing 12 of the magic number in the span of 6 days. Like, I did not expect that at all, right? I thought it was going to be, hey, they split with the Mets, maybe win 2 out of 3 against the Royals, and we're getting closer, but this was going to be the big series. And then last week happened, and, the Mets played their part, doing what they do well, and losing in fantastical fashion. And yet here we are. And the Phillies had a chance yesterday, and I was lamenting it, Bob. I was out here in L.A., I went out to a local sports bar in Pasadena to watch both the Phillies and then the Eagles as well. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, how ironic is it that I'm going to be all the way on the other coast when this all happens back home, which no one would have expected. And then both things happened that were unexpected, and that was the Phillies getting their doors blown off by the Royals, and then the Mets, even after blowing a lead, having one of their worst relievers get out of it and then winning the game on a walk-off. Yeah. So it all worked out, I guess, for me to be out here in LA for the celebration. And I will have, I promise people, I will have video up on Patterson's social media once that celebration happens, whether it's tonight, tomorrow, whatever. It'll be
I guess a couple things on that. One, I hope you didn't jinx it because they do have to have something happen in their favor in order to get over this hump here this week and check the box. But the other part of it is that going to be a light crowd of Philadelphia-based media out there, or there a little bit of a?
I would expect so. Yeah,
scramble here late to get some other folks out there.
I wonder if other people are coming last minute, but I'm pretty certain it's. I know Zalecki's going to be out here for MLB. Gelb's going to be out here for The Athletic. I think Lachlan March for The Inquirer. Me, and then Destiny Lugardo for Phillies Nation, and Bob Cooney for NBC. So I think that's it. So I mean, 6 of us. I mean, it's not like it's small. I mean, it's 6.
One.
Yeah. But I think that with the difference that you're going to see is I doubt that last minute the Channel 6, Channel 3, Channel 10, 29s of the world are sending reporters and cameras out to Los Angeles. So there's not going to be a lot of video coming from the clubhouse other than, NBC, obviously they'll have a camera because they're the rights holder, but so you'll get some of it on television. But as far as online, it'll probably be just me and maybe Destiny for Phillies Nation. I don't think any of the other reporters will be shooting video, to be honest with you.
Fair enough. Well, let's talk about how we got here. We spoke last on Friday morning. Phillies go out and they took care of business, I'd say, for the most part this weekend against the Royals. I'll get right to this. We gave our predictions. I believe that you said 2 out of 3. I kind of played the schedule angle and sort of wondered if there would be a letdown or they kind of sleepwalk through this series against the Royals, given they were coming off the 4-game sweep of the Mets, given that they're going out to LA afterward. I was wrong. I almost looked very wrong after the first inning yesterday. It looked like the Phillies were maybe on their way to a sweep, but then things kind of blew up on air. Nola, which we'll get to in a minute. One of our listeners, I don't want to use her name because I'm not like calling anybody out here, but I got called out by one of our listeners, and this person in like the third inning of the game yesterday was like, glad your prediction for this Royals series was completely incorrect as well as silly. And I'm like, all right, like they won 2 out of 3 instead of losing 2 out of 3. Like I've had a lot of horrible predictions. That one wasn't really that bad. So
no, it wasn't.
Thanks for listening. Number one. Number two, I'm sorry that I got it wrong. The Phillies did come out and take care of business on Friday and Saturday. But let's talk about this a little bit. What if I were to tell you, as disappointing as yesterday was, both from a Phillies standpoint, and then obviously the Mets taking care of business to prolong this for another day. What if I told you that this might be for the best? For a couple reasons. Number one, you win the division yesterday, and you then what? Get on a plane and go across the country to LA? Is that a party plane? Is that sling them down real quick and then hop on the plane and take a nap on the way to LA kind of trip? Like, what does that look like? And then just really from the baseball standpoint of it, the Phillies have more to do here. Like, I know that they have a 4.5 game lead in terms of securing the bye, but do I really want a situation where this team's all banged up and feeling too good about themselves heading out to LA and they're not totally dialed in and on point in what's a really huge series? Like, I know this is a team full of veteran guys, and I'd like to think that they would be big boys and not get distracted here. But, could perhaps it be better that they didn't get it done yesterday? They go out to LA tonight. They play a good game. They win. They clinch. Now they're up 5.5. They've done the bare minimum of what they've needed to do against the Dodgers. And then onward we move. Is it possible that that's actually better?
Yeah, Bob. I mean, that's a great way of looking at it. I think that if they had won yesterday, what I believe would have happened is there would have been a celebration, right? It probably would have lasted an hour to an hour and a half, somewhere in that regard, in the clubhouse. Then they would have showered, got their stuff, packed up, gone on the plane, and continued that celebration for a 5.5-hour flight, or 5 hours. I guess they would fly a little bit faster on a charter, lower level flying, and not have to worry about much other air traffic. I think that would probably have been a continued party. And then you're looking at, arriving here in LA at, and maybe waking up tomorrow not feeling as if they need to be as on point as they've been. So, I mean, it's very possible. Look, the thing that the one thing I will say that might put a kibosh to that notion, obviously we'll never know it didn't happen, but they did line up their 3 lefty starters against the Dodgers for a reason. They do want to see how this plays, because there's a very real chance that this is a team that the Phillies are going to play in the playoffs, and it very well could be in a 5-game series and not a 7-game series. If things kind of stay as they are, the Phillies being a 2 seed, the Dodgers being the 3 seed, Dodgers win against whichever one of those 4 teams that are still in the wild card race that don't really want to be in the playoffs gets in. You're probably looking Dodgers, Phillies in a best of 5. So I think that there is some value to still, even if you would have won the game yesterday, just still seeing what that matchup looks like.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think maybe that they would have still been kind of locked in. But you can't be locked in. I mean,
this is a thing here this week where I think you and I will align on this. You need to win one.
Yeah.
If you win the series, it's pretty much over, and certainly that is the goal. But what you cannot do here is come out and get swept by this team. And it sort of mirrors the conversation that we had during the Mets series. Part of it is the math. And then part of it is that this is a team that you will see, you very well might see a month from now. And I don't think that you want to go into that situation saying we went out there and we lined up our 3 best options, who are definitely and indisputably their 3 best options, and we couldn't find a way to win 1 game in Los Angeles. That's not what you want to be talking about come Thursday. So, I mean, I think for a multitude of reasons, mainly the math and less so the psychological part of it, but to a degree, I think both matter quite a bit. you got to find a way to go get one. And standing in their way tonight is Emmett Sheehan. And the Phillies are actually an underdog in this game. LA comes in minus 121. Phillies plus 102 on money line. And I just mentioned that because the expectation here from odds makers is you have the Dodgers, who came to life offensively a little bit after a prolonged slump. Kind of got things rolling a little bit against the Giants this weekend. I want to talk about that series for a moment. So they're coming in swinging the bats a little bit, and Sheehan's been really good. His last 3 starts, he's only allowed 3 earned runs and over 22 innings pitched. Like, this is a guy. Like, he's a 25-year-old. He's young. I know that he's not a household name, but this is a formidable opponent tonight for the Phillies, and they'll counter with Ranger Suarez, who tries to stay hot. So it's a really interesting pitching matchup. It sets the stage for what are 3 really good games in Los Angeles this week. And the one thing that I lament a little bit is that it's on the West Coast. Like, you're going to have to earn it tonight if you're a Phillies fan. 10-10 start time. This is a tough one for Phillies fans in what's such a massive series.
Yeah, no, it is, Bob. And I actually think that if you look at the 3 matchups, the one that I think that they have the best chance in is the game that Shohei Ohtani's pitching. And the reason I say that is because Ohtani's not been pitching with length, right, for the Dodgers. What's been the Dodgers' weakness? It's been their bullpen.
Yeah.
And I think that if you get into a game where you get into that bullpen early, you have a better chance of winning that. Plus, you got Christopher Sanchez on the mound. He's your best pitcher, right? You have him going in that game against Ohtani. So if I'm looking at the 3, if I said, which one do I feel best about? I feel best about the middle matchup, which is weird, right? You don't think that with Ohtani pitching, but I do think that for the Phillies, that's their best matchup.
Yeah, especially when your counter is Christopher Sanchez. I mean, look, this is a series where I look at the 3 pitching matchups and I say these are all pretty good. I mean, Suarez, Sheehan, Sanchez, Ohtani, Luzardo, Snell. And are the Phillies, would I say, objectively speaking, favored in any of these games? No, but these are not games where you're going to look at the odds and see Dodgers are minus 165 tonight either. Like, these are 3 coin flip games, and I'm just asking that the Phillies have it fall on their side in one of the 3. 2 out of 3 would be phenomenal. I don't believe they're going to sweep. Maybe they will. I don't know. But I just ask that the Phillies go get one. And if they could get this one tonight and check off the week clinch box and take a little bit of the edge off and a little bit of the pressure off on Tuesday and Wednesday, man, that would go a long way. And so I'm interested to see this from the math standpoint. I'm interested to see how these 3 lefty arms compete against the Dodgers this week. I think it's going to give us some insight into what we might see next month. It really is a massive series. And like I said, look, I had to make a business decision last night. I love the NFL. I love football. I sit there from 1 p.m. Eastern time all the way through 11:30 at the end of Sunday Night Football most weeks. Yesterday, I made a business decision. I'm watching J.J. McCarthy not be able to complete a pass midway through the second quarter against the Falcons. And I said, I have to go to bed. I have to save my hours for these games this week. All 3 of them are 10-10 start times, man. Like, I know you're a little bit of a night owl, but I got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. And I'm working a lot of hours right now. And I just don't really like to do 10-10 3 straight days.
And not only that, Bob, I mean, I know I'm out here, right? So I have to kind of adjust to the California time. I got here Saturday evening, and I still haven't adjusted. I've been waking up at before the sun comes up out here in California. I found myself exhausted at 7:30 last night here in California. So I still haven't adjusted to it. I probably won't. So I'm going to be suffering right through it with everybody else, even though I'll be, writing until probably 11 o'clock here, which will be 2 o'clock in the morning, 11:30 here, 2:30 in the morning back home. So yeah, it's going to be tough. And if you really want to take in the celebration, like whatever the TV is showing from the clubhouse, like you're probably going to have to hang in there that late, right? I mean, you're probably going to have to hang in that long. So, credit to the Phillies fans out there who are going to endure every minute of this series, at least until they clinch it.
All I really ask of the Phillies, if I'm being totally honest with you, is if you're going to lose tonight, can you just be down 7-1 in the 5th inning? Like,
Yeah.
Don't make me ride along until 12:50 a.m. and then
Yeah.
decide, nah, not tonight.
All right,
Look,
I want to do a quick run through some. We got some good comments. I want to get through
sure.
a quick run of them before we start talking specifics because they relate to what we're talking about. Kyle Seiler says, "Let's be real. We need 2 of 3 here to feel good about securing the bye." I disagree with that because again, you're going to end up with home field advantage. You're out in LA, and there's a difference between playing in LA and playing in Philly. I know it's just a ballpark. It's just an environment, but there is a real difference. So the Phillies are the best home team in baseball this year, or at least one of the top 2 or 3. I think they're the best home team in baseball. This series won't matter as much for that. You just can't get swept. So I agree with that. Robert Mallard says he's kind of bummed he'll be asleep when they clinch, but that's better than sweating it out for 2 more weeks. Fair?
Fair. Absolutely fair. I mean, in terms of outlasting the Dodgers in the standings, right? Like, yeah, sure. Would I think would winning 2 out of 3 be much better? Sure. But if you got out of this up 3 in the loss column and with a 3.5 game lead, and when this series is over with, at that point, where are we at right now? 150 games in the bank right now?
Yeah.
So three game lead in the loss column with 9 games left. Like, if you can't survive that, then that's
not only that, the Phillies, and look, I know Arizona's kind of sort of slinked their way back into this wild card conversation thanks to the Mets collapse. But really, after this trip, you end the season with 6 games against teams you should beat at home. In the Marlins and the Twins, like, you cannot blow it that last week. If you blow it that last week against those teams, then you probably don't deserve the bye. In all honesty, like, let's get to that, say that outright. Just a couple more quick ones. Nick Stirs says, "Thank God he's living in Arizona now. It's just a regular night game for him." And then Ilario Huarbar says, "Bay Area Phillies fan for the win." So we got a good group.
We're rolling deep with the West Coast listeners this morning. Good for all you guys. Guys.
Yeah. So it's all.
And by the way, I know, like, this is like when I've heard like reporters and sports talk hosts complain like, oh, I got to stay up. Like, there's a part of me that realizes that from 2012 through 2021 that we would have cut our arms off to have this problem. Like, I got to stay up late to watch a team possibly win the division on September 15th. Woe is me. Like, I know, I'm aware.
Yeah. Get home from work, take a nap, right? Set your alarm and then get up and enjoy the game. Like, that's how I would. That's how I would do it.
Figure it out. All right, look, I mean, lots of good stuff here. You just completed a homestand in which you went 6-1 and effectively ended any talk about the Mets getting back into the divisional race. You've done more to solidify your grasp or your grip right now on, securing a bye in the first round of the postseason. Like, these are all really good things. And we talk again about Bader and how awesome he's been. And, there are just so many good things happening with this team right now. Like, even Bryson Stott, man, like, we're talking about a guy who has a 722 OPS all of a sudden. Like, this has turned into a pretty good year when you look at it. You got Brandon Marsh flirting with an 800 OPS. Like, there's a lot of good stuff happening here. However, I think in this one moment right now, we have to kind of come back to Aaron Nola. And, what we saw yesterday was, for 4 innings, extremely positive and reassuring. And then what we saw in the 5th and more so in the 6th was flat out concerning. And, Aaron Nola, after the start against the Mets, you're like, okay, maybe that's step 1. And then 12 outs into this game, like, this is step 2. This is exactly the plan. You're going to get this guy ascending into October. You're going to allow him to be that 4th guy, gives you some options in how you line things up in terms of breaking up the lefties, the whole deal. And then what we saw in those final 2 innings was pretty bad. And his final line, 6 innings, 6 hits, 6 earned, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, allows the pair of home runs. We're getting at the point now where it's like, they really have a problem and a decision on their hands here.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know if it's a problem yet. It's certainly a decision, though. So the way I look at it was, that start yesterday is exactly as you mapped it out, right? And in the 5th inning, I could kind of give a pass to that one because should have been out of the inning. I mean, there was no question he had. I forgot who the hitter was was that 10 pitch at bat, but had him struck out and just didn't get a call. And he gives up the home run. Yeah, okay, you don't want to give up the home run there, but it's not the end. That's not the end of the world. The sixth inning is where it's a problem to me. The sixth inning is where it was, you can't have this inning happen. And and he just has this propensity for those innings to happen. And it's a combination of things. It's always a combination of things with Nola. Like where something happens and you get to sit there and go, well, that's unfortunate. Maybe not necessarily his fault, but he then cannot control, like shut it down after that point, right? And that's where he runs into his issues. Nick Castellanos was not good in right field yesterday on a couple of those balls, right?
Yeah.
A couple of those balls. And you sit there and go, does that bother Nola for some reason? Whatever it is, he needs to pitch out of that, right? And that's where he's had his struggles this year. And I think the Phillies are going to look at it in one of two ways. I think they're going to look at it and say, and if you ask me right now, I think that he's still the fourth guy, even after yesterday. I think he's still the fourth guy. And I think that they're going to look at it and say, he had a stretch of 10 innings where he was scoreless there, right? And against two, pretty good lineups in a sense, right? Mets and Royals. And there's been some real positive things happening. Then they're also going to sit there and go, but he needs to show more of that over these last three starts. Otherwise, then we'll make a decision. Like I don't think they're there yet. I don't think they're at the point where it's like we're out on Nola, because I think that they're going to give him every start he has left. And I think he's got three left. Two or three left. What's he got left?
Well, he'll pitch in Arizona this weekend, and then he would pitch the following weekend.
Well, it depends on how they're going to do this.
It's probably going to be 2.
It depends on how they break. In all honesty, they may, depends on where they clinch, what they're doing. Are they still chasing the Brewers?
Because if you have 13 games left,
seed?
he would pitch games 4 and 9 and probably wouldn't have to pitch. It just depends on what they want to do with the built-in off days and all. Do they say we need to see it one more time? Let's push it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if they're going to stick with a 6-man rotation till the end of the year. They haven't officially said one way or the other. So that's the one thing that you got to see. But either way, they're going to give him at least those 2 starts, and then they'll make their determination. I don't think that they're at the point of making the determination yet. They want it to be Nola. I don't think they want it to be Walker Buehler. In all honesty,
I was going to ask what you thought about him. I mean, that was the natural transition off of Nola. I mean, there's only so much more we can say about Aaron Nola in this moment. You saw Walker Buehler give you something Friday night. I don't know. I'm not ready to be like, oh, yes, there's a solution, but it was obviously encouraging. I think that went about as well as you could reasonably expect on Friday.
Yeah, and here's the thing and Nick Sturz makes a great point, and I think that this is a real possibility. Do you think they consider the Ranger idea of him throwing 3 innings in the playoffs and then throw it to the bullpen?
Yeah.
And I do. And what I mean by that is I agree, and I don't necessarily know if it's a lockdown. We're just having him go once through the order, and then that's it. I think really what it's going to be is they're going to have the next guy in the bullpen ready as soon as he gets a couple guys on base. That's it. We're out. We're not going to let it go longer. Thank you for your 10 outs that you contributed. We have to figure out how to get 27 outs in a game, and we're going to put it together that way, as opposed to we're going to lean on Aaron Nola to pitch 5-6 innings and hope for the best. I think they'll get him out of the game sooner. So I really do think that's a realistic possibility.
I could see that. I mean, I keep thinking about what are the possible outcomes with Aaron Nola and how he's utilized in a postseason series. And option 1 is he takes the ball, and they are very careful, as you talked about, not letting him even navigate trouble. When trouble comes, he's gone. That's one possibility. The other possibility is what? They use him as a long man. That feels less likely to me. And then what's the third possibility? They don't put him on a postseason roster. I just can't. I don't believe that's going to happen.
No, I don't either. I think that Walker Buehler in that role, kind of as the piggyback or as the long guy or a guy to come in and pitch. Hey, come in. We'll hopefully give us 2 innings. If we need a third, great. We'll go to you. But I think that that's what Buehler's role is going to be. I honestly believe Buehler is going to be on the playoff roster. I do.
You
And
were a
then you
little
play
less
it.
certain about that last week. Do you think that is that just because you've thought more about it, or did you see enough in that appearance Friday that makes you go, okay, yeah, they are
No,
going to go this way?
no, I kind of just look at, so let's put the bullpen together for a second, Bob. You have
Okay.
13 pitchers, probably 13. You might go 12 in the best of 5 division series and have an extra bat. That's a possibility. So you might only need 12 for the division series. But let's think of it in terms of a 7-game series, whether it's the NLCS or the World Series. You're going to have 13 pitchers, right? So you're going to carry the 4 starters for sure, the 3 lefties, and Nola's going to be on the playoff roster in whatever role he's in. He's going to be on the playoff roster. They're not going to leave Aaron Nola off the playoff roster. I promise you that. Okay, so there's 4. Now you go to the bullpen, right? Now you got Duran, Strom, Robertson, Kerkering, and Banks are locks. Okay, so there's 9. You now have to fill 4 more spots. You got Taijuan Walker. Okay, maybe he's the emergency guy. Maybe whatever. All right. You got Walker Buehler in a very similar role, but with playoff experience. And then you got guys like Max Lazar. Mays is probably going to be on there too. I forgot to include Mays. So Mays is probably one of them. But so you've got 3 spots. Lazar, Lou Trevino. Like, this is what you're thinking. Like, these are your possibilities. When you really boil it down, would you rather those guys, or would you rather Walker Buehler? And I think they're going to go Walker Buehler.
Yeah, I think that's where you say. I mean, look, there's an implication here too, where not that he had a million different destinations or teams banging down the door to sign him. At least I don't think so. But I think that when he's evaluating the rest of his 25 season, part of it is, yes, I want to go to a team that has a chance to win. But also he had to have been told something that would indicate that if he performs at a reasonable level, that he was going to be included. I just don't think that he would come here with like hey, can you help us make a couple spot starts so we can give some guys a breather and then thanks for that and good stuff, man. Come on out, Walker. Like, I just don't think that was the conversation. I think there had to be at least some indication that, yeah, like you would be part of the plan if you come here.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, but I think it is certainly performance based, right?
Sure.
I don't
I mean,
think
like,
it
we're going to
was.
give you the opportunity. Like, if you do what we ask you to do, then there will be a chance here. If you come out and you get torched, then no. Like, but I think there had to at least be some handshake agreement that he would be given a reasonable chance to make the postseason roster. Or I don't think he would have come here.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
So, I mean, that's the way you look at this. I guess, look, as everything kind of unwinds this past weekend, the one thing that I will say is that as good as it ended up, like you could not conceive a better outcome a week ago. We're recording last Monday ahead of this Mets series, and you map out the next 7 days or whatever it is. And you say, like, when we talk next week, this is where they're going to be. You'd be like, no way, almost impossible. But it was almost better. It was almost better. Saturday, you have Brewers Cardinals, and the Brewers are down multiple runs late in that game. And I'm like, oh my God, the Brewers might blow the 1 seed. Like, that is now in play. And then they come back, they tie it in the 9th, they win in extras. And then you see that the Dodgers lose on Friday night. And after the first
on a walk-off grand slam.
Yeah, brutal loss, back-breaking loss to a rival. This team, the Giants, all of a sudden look like they're getting back into it. It's incredible. The Mets have already lost. They blow a 2-0 lead. I believe in the 8th inning they held that lead and lost. And then you see the Dodgers down 4-1 at the end of the 1st inning on Saturday night. And I'm thinking to myself, the 1 seed's in play. They're going to clinch the division this weekend, and they might go to LA with a 5.5, 6.5 game lead. Like, my mind was there for a moment in time on Saturday night.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. It could have been even better. It was that close to being even better.
Yeah,
it was. But you can't. The beauty. That's the beauty of it, and this is why it's such a cliche thing that they say all the time. But you only worry about controlling what you can control, right? Because you have no control over what happens in those other games. And would it have been great? Would it have been fun if that was the case? Yeah, it would have been awesome for the Phillies, right? They could have started resting guys. They could have started putting together whatever. They could have set a rotation however they wanted. There's still some work to do. There's still a little bit of work to do, and I think that they are hell bent on catching Milwaukee. Now, it's going to be tough to do because they can't just tie them. Milwaukee holds the tiebreaker, so they have to actually pass the Brewers by a game. So in essence, they have to make up 3 games here in the final 2
Yeah.
weeks. But when you saw what happened this past week, anything is possible, right? Like it's not insurmountable. It's just they're going to need some help, and I'm not sure if the help is going to be out there. Enough help is going to be out there for them.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, well, so when you set the stage for this week, what are you looking for? I mean, obviously you're looking for a win. Maybe you're looking for 2 wins. I understand that. That's the bottom line, but what else do you see here? We talked a little bit about the starting rotation and how it lines up. Are there any players that you sort of have circled here? Somebody that concerns you, somebody that excites you beyond what we've talked about over the last couple of weeks? I mean, honestly, this is, to me, the moment and the situation and the standings and the magic numbers. Like, that's the storyline today. Like, I don't know. What do you want to talk about? You want to talk about how they only put up 3 runs yesterday after they were scoring like crazy for the entire week? Like, I'm not going to start ripping apart the lineup today. I'm not going to start ripping apart the starting rotation because Aaron Nola blew up, and we already talked about Aaron Nola. Like, so look at this series. Look at this week. What else do you have your eye on?
I have my eye on. So the Phillies are obviously all in on left-handed pitching, right? That's their thing right now. So I'm looking at it and saying, how are the 3 lefty starters against this Dodgers lineup? And then I want to see the Mesa, Banks, Strom, combination out of the bullpen before you get to Durant, because they're going to be the ones that are going to be called upon for the key hitters in this Dodgers lineup. Yeah, you might get a pocket of righties, and so you're going to get David Robertson or Ryan Kirkering, whatever. But this is a team that you're, like I said, the odds are in the favor of this being your first playoff opponent. I want to see what those matchups look, because I need to know. I need to know, can these guys perform against Shohei Ohtani, against Freddie Freeman, right? I want to see that. I want to see what that looks like. That's the thing that I'm going to pay the most attention to in these 3 games in LA.
Do you think right now, and I'm asking this on this show because it will certainly be a thing that we discuss again on Friday. Do you think right now, prior to seeing this matchup this week against the Dodgers, that the Phillies will beat the Dodgers in a postseason series?
I'd feel better about it in a 7-game series than I would a 5-game series, in all honesty. And I think part of me believes that that's why the Phillies are hell-bent on catching the Brewers. I think the Phillies look at it and say, we look around the National League and we think we are better than every team except the Dodgers, who we think we're on par with. And in that case, we'd rather play that team over a 7-game series and give us a little bit of a little bit of a leeway in case things go sideways in a game or whatever. So you just have a little more wiggle room. I think that's why they want to be the one. I think that they look at it and say, we can beat the Cubs. We can beat the Padres. Yeah, neither one is going to be easy.
Right.
But we can beat those teams in a 5-game series. We actually like our matchups against those teams in a 5-game series. I don't particularly think they prefer the Dodgers in 5. I think they would rather play the Dodgers in 7.
Are we, are the Dodgers praying to God that the Mets hang on to the 6 seed? Like, is that, if you're a Dodgers fan right now, like that's, I think, the other thing. We're talking about the Phillies and where they're at. The National League wildcard race is ultra compelling for that final spot. And I mean, the Cubs are in, they're solid. The Padres are solid. They're in. These teams are pretty much locked into the 4 and 5 seeds, right? Like, I'm looking at this correctly. There's no world where the Cubs and Padres aren't the 4 and 5 seeds.
Yeah, I mean, the Padres technically, it depends. The Phillies can help the Padres big time here this week. I mean, the
Padres' path to not being the 5 seed would be to win the division. Yes,
win the division, right? I mean, they could still technically catch the Dodgers with a little help. So, I mean, but I think you're pretty much looking at them being.
And then let me ask you this. I asked you, do you think that the Phillies would beat the Dodgers in a postseason series? Who concerns you more? If you're saying the Phillies could do the Padres a favor, would the Phillies be doing the Phillies a favor by knocking LA out of the West and bringing the Padres in as the likely opponent in that second round?
The Padres are really inconsistent for whatever reason. They don't have the starting pitching. Their starting pitching is not good, really good bullpen. Their lineup should be better than it is. They don't have starting pitching. And that's why I like the matchup against either the Cubs or the Padres, because neither team has great starting pitching. And I think that the Phillies would prefer that like I said, in a shorter series. You'd rather face a team that doesn't have good pitching. Whereas the Dodgers, they know how to play in this time of year. Like we saw it last year. They bullpenned the hell out of it to a championship, right? And then won the World Series last year. Like I think you would rather play them in a longer series because you could wear down that bullpen a little bit more.
I'll tell you what. I mean, you look at the schedule, and the Mets are off today, but like, man, the Padres Mets this week in New York. Like there is a lot up in the air in terms of pairings and seedings, and the Mets 2-8 now in their last 10. They salvaged one yesterday late. They are right there. I mean, the Giants really missed an opportunity. They win 2 out of 3 this weekend against the Dodgers instead of lose 2 out of 3. You're talking about them being a half game out, as we discuss right now. I mean, it's still only a game and a half. Yeah. That's not insurmountable, but this time of year, games are shortening now. The difference is pretty substantial. But Padres Mets is tough, man. And like the Padres have a lot to play for, and they sweep or take 2 out of 3 against the Mets this week. Let's see who the Giants have. What's their?
They got to play the Dodgers again. Later in the week,
Dodgers again. And prior to that, they're at Arizona, so not an easy road for them either. And
that's
obviously in it as well.
That's an elimination series in a lot of ways. The Giants, Diamondbacks, whoever wins that series is knocking the other team out. They're both.
It almost feels like if one of those teams is able to sweep that series, like if one of those teams could sweep that series, I actually think at that point they probably have the inside track to get past the Mets.
Well, once again, and I said this before, like why I think the Giants are the Phillies' best friend right now. And obviously they played the Dodgers. They got 1 this weekend. Rather, they got 2. And then they got to play the Diamondbacks, who the Phillies also still have to play. So if you're the Phillies and you want to catch the Brewers, you don't want the Diamondbacks to matter for that series this weekend. You want them to be like, get their doors blown off by the Giants and okay, you're out of the race now. These games don't matter for you. And so now the Phillies can go in there and continue to try and you have 3 straight series against teams that are out of the playoff race as opposed to just 2. So yeah, I mean, and then the Giants play the Dodgers again. The Mets have the easiest schedule of those teams. There's no question, even and that includes playing the Padres and then got to go to Chicago and play the Cubs next, right? They play the Cubs next week on the road, I believe it is. But even with those games, I think that the Mets have the easier schedule out of everybody. But they're the Mets, man. Like that bullpen is a disaster. It's a disaster. And they got fortunate yesterday. I watched the end of that game too. They were pretty fortunate to win that game yesterday. To get the line drive double play by Diaz and when Diaz on the mound in the 9th inning. And then Stanek getting out of a first and third jam with 2 batters in the 10th. Like, I mean, they got lucky. They really did. So yeah, I mean, the Mets could lose games to anybody. So even though they have the easiest schedule, it's going to be wild. I think that those teams, whoever is the 3 seed is going to get a team that barely made it in. And I don't know if they're in a 3-game series, they might be, do they breathe? Like what happens in that spot? Like, I mean, I don't know. It's weird. You're a 500 team who barely sneaks into the playoffs. What is your mentality at that point? Like, and you got to face the Dodgers.
House money. Why not us? I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Let me talk a little bit about that because you're about mentality and about how you're coming in and what you are going up against a potential 3 seed. One of the things that was being talked about kind of like with an eye roll, it was sort of like laughing it off, like, oh, is this Phillies team peaking too early? Right. Like, let's just dismiss that. I don't need to talk about that. But I guess the cousin of that story would be, is there an ill effect of potentially wrapping up this division too soon? Like what happens when you clinch a division on, let's say, again, I don't want to jinx them. Maybe I am jinxing them, but let's say you clinch this division sometime between September 15th and September 17th. I think between the Phillies playing 3 games and the Mets playing 2 against the Padres on Tuesday, Wednesday, that something happens and the Phillies clinch this division. Because they have to keep their foot on the gas to get the bye, I assume that they won't go into cruise control too early. But is there any concern, I guess, about the fact that you are talking about a potential 2-week run where, you don't have to be on your absolute game going into the postseason? I mean, like, let's say that conversation probably becomes more pertinent this week if they were to win this series and get out of here up 5.5 with, not, what is it, 9 left or whatever it is. Like, then I think you can have that conversation. So, I mean, how do you look at this? And like, what do you think that the Phillies are going to do to combat this? Because I'd love to say, well, they're battle tested and they're postseason tested, but like we said this last year, like, I don't know, this team doesn't look like it's exactly battled in at the moment. They couldn't get it back together. So like, we have to at least acknowledge this possibility.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think that the more dangerous possibility is not them winning the series and then going on cruise control because they're in a comfortable spot, but kind of just treading water. In other words, let's say they lose 2 out of 3. They've clinched the National League East, but the Brewers keep winning. And now you're kind of like, well, we're going to be the 2 seed. We're not going to catch the Brewers. Now you're on cruise control. I think if you win this series and you lock up the division, even though you've locked up the division and you probably have locked up a bye, you're probably still in the chase for the number 1 spot. So I think that those games coming, the last 9 games, I think that they're still, at least for a little bit, there's still at least something to play for, because you're still chasing the Brewers, right? So I think that you're more likely to be complacent if you lose this series than if you win it in a weird way.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, that makes sense.
Unless you get swept, in which case then it's a different,
yeah.
Feeling by the way, my 9-game road losing streak is on the line here.
Yeah. Oh my God, we didn't even talk about that. What are you doing out there, man? Come on.
They haven't won a game that I've been to on the road since opening day.
You're due. I certainly wouldn't bet on the Phillies tonight, but you're due. How do you see it?
Anyway.
Because I'm a little short on time. This is a good transition right to it. How do you see this series unfolding?
I think it's a tough one to call. I think this one's a lot tougher to call than the last one. I would probably pick the Dodgers 2 out of 3.
Yeah,
I think the
I'm
Dodgers
going to abstain because I don't want to get yelled at online.
Put your neck out, stick it out there. I want to know. I think the Dodgers will win this series. I do think it'll be a good series. I don't think the Phillies are going to come in here and get their doors blown off in a couple games. I think you're going to get a couple of close of all 3 games. So I think will be pretty close games. I think it's going to have a playoff atmosphere, playoff feel to it. But I still think the Dodgers, if I had to make a prediction, the Dodgers 2 out of 3.
Okay. I'm with you on that for what it's worth.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, before I get to one last thing, there is one last little Phillies item that I wanted to throw at you. On ESPN today, I think it was today. I don't think they put it up yesterday. I think they put it up today. Jesse Rogers, they did a thing where they did an anonymous poll of players, executives, and coaches. I think it are scouts, players, executives, and scouts. And the question they asked is the National League team to beat is. And the Brewers still got the most votes. They got 7. The Phillies got 5. Dodgers 4. Padres, and even the Mets got. The Mets going to vote. Who the hell voted for the Mets? Anyway, but
Jesse
here are the here are the 3 questions or 3 comments for the Phillies. 2 from National League players and 1 from a rival National League executive. The one from the executive I thought was the most interesting one, but I want to read them to you. So NL player number 1, it's simple for me. They still have good pitching and they've been there before. Playoffs are about home runs and they can hit them. Okay.
Yeah.
A few guys who can hit them, right? But okay. Right. Yeah. Second. Yeah, right now. I'm with you. Right. Second National League player comment. Their lineup is a little top heavy, but they have enough at the bottom that can do the job. If those guys show up, then that lineup is really good. Their pen is incredible with Duran.
Okay. I think their pen is pretty good with Duran. I wouldn't say it's incredible, but okay.
Yeah, that's the other. Now, here's the National League executive. It's their last hurrah, right? They have older players, some of whom will be free agents at the end of this season. I just can't see Harper going his career without a ring, and this is their best chance, even without Wheeler.
Well, I mean, it's hard to say. I can't see Harper going his career without a ring either, but I mean, Dan Marino didn't get a ring, and lots of good baseball players didn't get a ring, and John Elway almost didn't get a ring. And Bryce Harper's not Superman anymore. He's a really good baseball player, but like, I don't know. The of all those comments, the one that I kind of mesh with the most, my opinion, is like, yes, it's about everything. Can you hold leads? But can your starters give you 5 good innings to get you rolling? And you need Schwarber and Harper to be stars. But like the thing that really to me is like the X factor, if you diagnose the Phillies postseason, it's simple. It's like, do Stott, does Marsh, does Stott, does Bader keep it going? Do these guys who were just absolute zeros for this team for the first half of the season, who've been really so good and have given this lineup so much more depth, like if those guys can do it, then this offense to me is too good. It's the best lineup. If those guys are going to produce the way that they've produced here for the last 6 weeks, then I think that the Phillies have the best lineup in the National League. And, and that includes the Dodgers, quite honestly. Like, I think that lineup is that good. If Bryson Stott is going to be, a 310 hitter, if Trey Turner is going to continue to play the way that he has when he returns, if Bader is going to hit 330, like if all of those things are going to happen, then they're going to be a very tough team to beat.
Yeah. Those guys hitting will make the lineup that much longer, that much more dangerous. I kind of agree with you. Okay, one last thing. I know you got to go. We all got to go. We got stuff to do. But I didn't know if you saw the thing with Anthony Rizzo in Chicago, and I thought it was kind of a really cool thing, and I think it was worth calling out because he's such a good guy. But Rizzo does the retirement thing out in Chicago, and then for the how perfect is it that he decides, I'm going to go sit out in the bleachers.
The ball gets hit to him,
right? I'm going to sit out in the bleachers with all the fans, and he gets a home run ball hit to him, and he drops it. He misses it. Like,
That's why it's important to sharpen your skills every day. Once you go into retirement mode, you see these guys, they just lose it.
Yeah, but look, dude is everybody I've ever talked to who's played with him, that knows him, says he's an all-timer, just like an all-time great guy. And for him, you want to talk about athletes that get it, there's an athlete that gets it. He would have been beloved here. Anthony Rizzo would have been beloved in Philadelphia.
It's like when he retired, I mean, he played 15 years, 14, 15 seasons.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, he's 36 years old. Like, he's really that old. It's over now already. Like that's one where you just blink and you're like, damn, we're old. I mean, he was a rookie in 2011. His first season, he played 49 games the year that the Phillies lost to the Cardinals in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It is crazy. But anyway, I thought it was worth it. If anybody hasn't seen it, look it up. Look up Anthony Rizzo dropping the home run ball out in the bleacher with the bleacher creatures out in center field or in the outfield for the Cubs. Definitely a fun little video and great tribute for him. And he did it obviously as a survivor of cancer survivor. He did it on Childhood Cancer Awareness Night or whatever it was. And that was certainly intentional and just goes to show the kind of person he is. Really good for the sport of baseball.
Absolutely.
And best wishes to Anthony Rizzo going forward. So good stuff. All right. Well, that's it for me and Bob. For today, we'll be back. So we'll have to figure out when the next show is going to be. I'll explain to you off the air. Friday is a rough day for me travel wise. I'll explain what's going on next weekend. For those that don't know, is my anniversary, so I'm going away for my anniversary next weekend. I know, can't believe it's been a year, right, Bob?
That went fast. That's a quick year. Yeah,
it's a quick year.
I'm surprised you didn't just go 2 for 1 here. A little Phillies coverage and a little 1 year anniversary out in Pasadena, LA.
She wanted to go. My wife has never been, and I've been there countless times, so it's really not that exciting for me. But she's never been to Niagara Falls.
Okay. There you go.
So that's where she wanted to go. So we'll be driving to Niagara Falls on Friday morning. We might be able to record it early, but we'll have to chit chat.
You're flying back from LA and then going to Niagara Falls.
Yeah, I told her she's driving the whole way. I'm going to be sound asleep in the car.
Are we going to be doing one of these podcasts with you in the car and you're navigating?
No. I think but again, that's why I said we'll have a conversation about it. We'll talk about it. If we could do it, if we could record early enough Friday morning, okay. I think that will be fine. But if you can't do early, then we may have to figure something out. So we'll see.
Okay, very well.
Yeah. All right, cool. So that's it. You guys hear that conversation? Bob. That's what Bob and I's conversation are usually like offline. This is how we usually talk offline. You get a little bit behind the curtain about what that's like. Anyway, thanks again for tuning into this episode of Phightin Words. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Pandora, wherever you get your podcast. Best place right here on YouTube. Click the thumbs up, ring the bell. Make sure you never miss a show. You'll get an alert on your device as soon as Bob and I go live, which, as you saw today, could be at a random time. It was at I think it was like 11:38 Eastern in the morning, right? So certainly it could be a different time every time we do it. You get the alert and you don't miss a show. For those of you listening in the podcast feed, you can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/@Phightin Words. For Bob Wankel, I'm Anthony Sanfilippo saying thanks for tuning in. Have a great week, everybody.